This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 183, recorded on September 4th, 2014. Here at Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here in Bellevue, Nebraska. A hot Bellevue, Nebraska today, and a cold one. We're having a 30 or 40 degree swing in a day tomorrow, and so warm today, cool tomorrow here in Bellevue, Nebraska. And of course, we post a show with world-class show notes each week out at the AverageGuy.tv. If you have questions, comments, or contributions, you can contact the show. Send me an email, Jim at theaverageguy.tv. You can find me on Twitter at jcollison, and now call in those questions. And again, I'm waiting for some really good crank calls. I can't believe I've given you guys the opportunity to crank call me, and you don't do it. 402-478-8450. Really, I want your tech questions. So call those things in. Kyle's done that. Kyle, thank you for using that line from time to time. And give that line a call, 402-478-8450, and we'll play those right here on the show. And now you can find Home Gadget Geeks because it's a part of the Geeks Network. You can find the links to this show and many other really good podcasts out at the out at the Geeks Network, thegeeksnetwork.com. Dave just updated that with a few new items as well, so you might want to head out and take a peek at that. Join us in chat, watch, or listen live on YouTube and on Spreaker, and find all the navigation that you'll ever need and all the tools out at the AverageGuy.tv. All right, well, we're back to kind of another community podcast tonight. I'm super excited because a couple guys I haven't seen in a while, and Nathaniel, I haven't seen you in I think it's been since spring, so
yeah.
Welcome back. Good to have you.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here. I know it's been months since I've been on, but been a faithful listener, not always here live, but always catching up through the week and enjoying the variety of the show's content and guests. That's the best part.
Yeah, you bet. Always good to have you back on, so I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
And then newly employed in a new location and probably some other new things that we don't know about, Kyle Wilcox. Kyle, how are you?
Hi, I'm good.
And Kyle, we'll dig into that here in just a second because you've got some. I mean, you've had quite a few changes going on in your life over here.
Yep,
in the last
it's been a
week
really big summer. So.
Yeah, very cool. Well, welcome. We'll talk about that here in just a second. One big change I wanted to highlight just before we got going. Excuse me, with the podcast here is that we've actually, I've been trying to find a way to funnel some equipment, some tech equipment to our friend John Zadler up in Canada. And if you've ever tried, NAFTA kind of messed everything up. And if you've ever tried to ship anything from the United States to Canada, it's a mess, right? And so I've been trying to get equipment to him. It's like $30 to ship anything from the U.S. into Canada, and you gotta, if it's new equipment, you gotta do some finagling, like put a birthday card in there so he doesn't get taxed, and it's just a mess. So I've been struggling with that over the last couple years, and John, if you're a friend of the show, if you watch the show long enough, you know John Zadler. John's really good at getting equipment, testing it, tearing it apart, putting it back together, testing it again. I'm just trying to figure out ways to get him equipment up there. And in last week's show, somebody in the chat room, it could have been other Jim or one of those guys, said, why don't we do an Amazon affiliate link for John? And I went, that's brilliant. Are you kidding me? Because the Amazon, the Average Guy, the Tech Scholarship Fund that we run here in the U.S., that account is only good for U.S. So if you're in Canada or if you're in the U.K. and you're purchasing using the AverageGuy.tv/Amazon, thank you, but we don't get any credit for that. Those affiliate codes only work in the countries that they originate from. And so that night I called John and said, hey, John, let's set you up an Amazon affiliate link, and we'll have our Canada listeners, our Canadian listeners, if you're all inclined to use the Tech Scholarship Fund and know that those funds are going to get funneled through John Zadler, so he can buy equipment. We'll have him on the program. He'll talk about it and test it. That's worked out really well for the U.S. Tech Scholarship Fund. We now have one for Canada. So if you go to the AverageGuy.tv/AmazonCA. Now, if you're in the U.S., don't use that because that's in Canada. Okay, that's their Amazon store, and they won't ship it to you. So in the U.S., the AverageGuy.tv/Amazon. in Canada, the averageguy.tv/AmazonCA. I tried to make it super simple for you guys, and so it would be great that if you guys could use that. If you live in Canada or anywhere near Canada, or you get stuff shipped to Canada, or you buy things from Canada, and you're going to use the Amazon link. That benefits John Zadler. John will get equipment to test for us, and then he'll come on the show and talk about it. I thought it was a pretty good deal and a great way for the community to do it. That's cost effective and efficient. So give that a try. I'll list that in the show notes as well if you want to go out to the link. But and I honestly have no idea how many listeners we have in Canada. I know we've got quite a few in Australia, but if you're willing to do that, maybe drop me a note this week, Jim at theaverageguy.tv. Let me know you'll use that link. Just kind of nice to know those kinds of things are going on. And I'll remind you with the Tech Scholarship Fund, if you want to test something, you try something out, let me know. We'll buy that for you, send it to you. You can test it, and if it works well, we've had one that didn't. We'll talk about that at the meetup here coming up in September. But we'll ship it to you. You can keep it, and I just asked you to come on the show or write about it, and you get to keep it. So that's what's new with the Tech Scholarship Fund, and I'm super excited to find a great way to get equipment to John Zadler because he's pretty awesome. I don't know. I like him, and he does great work. So Kyle, let's talk a little bit about, let's catch up with you a little bit, and I know this isn't necessarily all tech related, but you're part of the community. It's important what goes on here and things that are going on, and the job change that you have is tech related. So tell us a little bit about your move and your move to a new job.
Yeah. Well, I guess the summer first started kind of getting crazy with the first thing. My wife graduated with her degree in graphic design on like March 27th to kind of kick off our summer. So she was graduating. Obviously, she's going through some changes, looking for jobs, and then we were kind of just, where is she going to get a job? Are we going to move? Are we not going to move? Am I going to transfer? Am I to a different Best Buy? All that kind of stuff. And we ended up buying our first house, so that was pretty exciting. And there's lots of, I'm sure a lot of you guys have done that before and know kind of all the hoops you got to jump through with that. And there's a lot of technology stuff gets involved in that in some ways too, as well as setting up a new Comcast subscription and just realizing some of the home automation things that I can try now that I actually own a house, whereas before it didn't really make a lot of sense to try some of that stuff. So just been a lot of interesting stuff there. And then so yeah, my wife ended up getting a really good job that she likes right now that's about 15 minutes north of us, just probably like 5 miles north or less probably.
And you're in northern Indianapolis area?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And then just, still trying to figure out what I was going to do because the Best Buy that I was working at was about an hour and 15 minutes away from the new house, and I was still kind of driving, just kind of waiting to see what would happen. And I'd applied for some technology jobs at like pretty much just looking at all the school districts in the area and seeing what was available, and applied for several of them. And just 4 days before school started, I got offered and accepted the job that I have now. So now school hours, 5 days a week, I do technology at Westfield, Washington School District for 2 different elementary schools. And then evenings and weekends, a couple evenings a week, and Saturday I still do Best Buy, and I transferred to a Best Buy that's only about 25 minutes away from my house. So yeah, it's been an adventure, and both my wife and I have new jobs. I'm working both jobs. Yep, we both have new jobs, and we have a whole new house, and we have a lot of new
congratulations,
stuff, so.
Man. I mean, that's big. Those are some big life changes. Yeah. In fact, I think those are on the list. The top 5 most stressful things. I think those 2 are in that top 5 most stressful things that can happen to you. You did.
No, it wasn't really that stressful. No, it was good. We had a really good experience with everything. So
you just don't have a lot of junk to move yet.
Yeah.
You're young, and you guys haven't collected all the mess like I've got back here.
Yeah.
I'd say avoid moving as much as possible.
Yeah. No, we moved in and we got done with the last box after moving out of the apartment. We were like, we think we might just want to stay here for a long time. So.
Yeah, and it is nice to kind of make it yours. You were in pre-show. You were showing me, you got you kind of your network rack up, up on the top of the shelf up there, and you got your gear up there, and you can kind of do your own stuff with it.
Yeah.
You had said to me earlier, it didn't make sense to think about home automation until I had my own place to do it, and so now you can kind of mess with it. Careful, that home can be a very big time. It can take a lot of time away from you, or you can spend a lot of time on it. So good. Well, congrats. Good to hear that that things are going well for you. The school job, you're brand new at that. Any big challenges that you're facing there right now, technology-wise? What kind of architecture is it set up? It sounded very different than maybe the situation Nathaniel's in.
Yeah. I mean, I started 4 days before students arrived, and for about the first day and a half, I walked around with one or two of the guys on staff, and they showed me, like, these are the basics, and here's your password, and then after that, they went back to their building, and I was just walking around fixing teachers' passwords and resetting things, and that was pretty much it. And it was,
You got a day and a half of training?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty impressive. All right.
So it was like, it was really a pretty perfect fit. It was a great situation for in every situation. I feel like, this had been a job that I've kind of almost been prepared for over just in all my experiences, and having a teaching degree and working at Best Buy. I do have to know the technology, but it's very much still a customer service job. I still have to you have to interface with teachers, and be nice and be polite, and make people understand and communicate well and all that kind of stuff. And the technology stuff, turn on a computer, reboot a computer, plug it in, make sure everything's connected, plug in wires, connect to the network, change settings, show teachers how to use stuff. All that stuff is things I've been doing on my own. Any general tech person could do that kind of stuff, but they just kind of showed me some of the basics and went up and running. So we're using Novell services right now to run our network. So Novell logins, Novell ZENworks for management. Still using Novell GroupWise for email. So yeah, that kind of stuff.
Man, I haven't seen that since 2000. I worked for a bank.
Yeah.
And in 2000 we were all Novell. So
yeah.
that is it. Are they upgrading it at all? Has it been upgraded recently?
Well, so just this summer they did their Windows XP to Windows 7 migration.
Oh, good. So Windows 7 then.
So yeah, well, we have Windows 7 on most computers. We have 10-year-old gateways, Pentium 4s that still have XP on them. Yeah. And they're just kind of running them until they die, I guess. It's kind of the theory, but they just need a web browser and a kindergartner to click on a link that opens up 2+2. That's all they need to do,
Right.
So,
yeah.
I guess that's just kind of
what it is. Just kind of. Nathaniel, do you guys have any Windows products still hanging around, or have you made the jump completely? Yeah, to school.
Oh yeah. We're one of the few districts that's almost exclusively Windows, or at least used to be. Most of the districts around are a good blend of Mac and Windows, and we have been historically Windows. Before I was there, they made a choice when Apple was split and it was not looking so good to go single platform, and that was prior to 1997, I believe, or earlier. But since I've been there in 4 years, we've got more Macs, and now we have lots of iPads and Chromebooks. So it's multi-platform in the sense of lots of devices, but the majority of the workstations, laptops, desktops are Windows, and we're all Windows 7 with a few straggling Windows XP here and there that we try to ferret out. And
well, eventually they will just die, right?
Well, we had a Windows 2000 hardware server die the day before school started.
Of course.
The transportation department had a lightning strike, which sent a surge through a lot of stuff, and that Windows 2000 hardware finally died. So I think I don't think we have any more Windows 2000.
So you're done. Yeah, that's done. Literally.
Just an act of God to take care of that one.
It was like thou shalt not have Windows 2000 any longer.
Good
Yeah.
backups though.
Really?
Had that. Yeah, we could restore
good.
all the data. Good backups offsite.
Nathaniel, do you get out much with individual teachers in your role, or are you pretty much districts?
I get around to the building some. I'm usually working with techs like Kyle and helping them out, or working with people directly. So I spend a lot of time at the transportation department this last couple weeks, getting them back on their feet from the lightning challenge. But yeah, I get out some, but I'm behind my desk way too much, and I spend a lot of my time answering emails and doing that stuff.
So what happens to a box like that when it was obviously you're not going to put another server back in, but you got backups?
Yeah.
What did you guys do?
Yeah, we were in transition to moving them from this hardware to virtual. The challenge is we can't get a fiber connection to that building, so we were on a dual T1, which is really, really slow when you're used to a 10 gig fiber.
Yeah, for sure.
So we were in the process of moving into virtual. We had all the data backed up, so we were able to restore that to a new virtual server, and then get the client or the vendor that ran their software, their specialized software, was able to take our backups, put it on the new one, reconfigure it, and they did. We couldn't get him to run the app natively on the desktops at the bus garage, but the vendor worked out a remote app solution. So they were essentially, it looked like an application to them, but they're running a remote RDP session to the server, and the performance was hugely better. And that was new for me. I never had experienced that, but it was really quite impressive how well it performs over that small connection.
So they had good enough bandwidth to get RDP through, but all the horsepower is on the server side.
Yep. So the server ran all these multi-client sessions for their maps and everything, and they were just doing screen refreshes essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, cool.
Well,
yeah, that sounds like it worked out pretty well. I probably just forced the upgrade, right?
Yeah. Well, we were in process of doing it, and it was just like finding a good time when we're not busy, and it just happened that God said, "Nope, you're going to do it now." And sorry, it's the first day of school.
Now's the time.
Parents are a little concerned about their kids getting on the bus, but it was a really good experience for me because that team is amazing. So when it's go time and the buses are out in the morning and the afternoon, it's like air traffic control tower. The way they operate and work together as a team, and they've got walkie-talkies and radios and phones and emails, and they're looking up information and shouting back and forth in this room. It was really humbling how well they function together and get this job done to basically get these children, these 5-year-olds, transported around the city safely and from school to home and home to school. And it was really good. If you get a chance to go see your transportation department, Kyle, it was good for me.
Just sit in on a morning or an afternoon bus ride. We did have one of the gals I work with, their child first bus ride, and he didn't get off at the right, at the stop they were supposed to, and so they texted, I missed the bus stop, and the bus driver was really good. He was like, okay, we'll take you. Let me finish the route, and then I'll swing you back around, and we'll drop you where you're supposed to go. So. That is an amazingly complex setting, right? And it's not like that's the highest paid job in the world,
No, but I mean, it literally, and I suppose every school district's like this, but they have all the students, all their home addresses, contact information in the database, these maps, these routes, the buses are all on GPS, so they're mapping bus from block to block to block. They're communicating via radio. I mean, they just have this very complex system to try to navigate it. And to have them on the first day of school and, oh, sorry, you don't get to use your computers at all. We got the network back up, but they couldn't get to their mapping database. They had hard copies of all this stuff, but it was impressive how much they rely on technology, and it just challenges us to be very good at our job so they can do their job.
Were they set? Did you have them all up by day 2?
Partially. We had one person who could log into the database system and use it, but it took a few days to get the remote app install configured because they had not been using that before. Prior to that, they were all local.
Right.
But it was good.
Wow. Yeah.
They're a very patient group.
Yeah, well, that's good because these kids and parents, and this is serious business, getting these kids from school to home and safety, and it sounds like they take that very seriously.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, well, interesting, Kyle. Well, back to your so a couple days at work, things going well so far. You're liking it. It's a customer service job, right? I mean, and you know that you got to make friends of these teachers, and they'll treat you good if you treat them good, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's already, some of them are already like bribing with chocolate, like, if you fix my computer, here's a snack or here's a Pepsi or something. So that's always a score day. So
Oh, they may fatten you up over there. Have to be careful about that.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. There is something about, and I do less of this all the time, but there's something about first level support that I really like. I
Yep.
like being boots on the ground, up
Yep.
front, helping people with their problems, and it's hard. Especially when you get a problem that goes sideways on you and you can't necessarily, 80% of the problems you just fix right there. Oh, you were talking earlier about a shortcut, right? And like, oh, my shortcuts disappeared. My parents were this way. My solitaire shortcuts disappeared. And they freak out, and then I can't do anything, and then you go find it, right click, save to desktop, and then you're the best, right?
Yep.
That's how that goes. Yeah. But every once in a while you run into a really hard problem, or you'll run into a problem that, and we've all had this. If you listen to the show, you've probably done frontline tech support. You've had that problem with that person that no matter how many times you've tried to fix it, it just doesn't take.
Yeah.
Right? And it always goes down at their worst possible time, and you say
Yep.
you've got it fixed, and they're on the phone to you the next day. I know you said you fixed this, but it's broken again.
Yeah.
And those are the hard ones.
Or the answer is, well, the district doesn't have the money to pay for that, so.
Yeah.
One of those
Yeah,
things.
and unfortunately, you're the messenger, right?
Yeah.
At that
Yep.
point. So, yeah. Well, good. Congrats on that, and we'll look forward to. You're going to learn a ton, man. It's going to be
Yep.
a great experience for you. The plan to stay on at Best Buy. It's cool working at Best Buy, right? You get access to kind of some of the new stuff that's out there. But is that short term, long term, just for now?
The having
what
both
happens?
jobs is the long term. I mean, is the plan right now. So, it's gonna let me put in more hours and generate some more income, try to
Yeah.
pay off some student loans, all that kind of stuff. So,
That's a good call. Paying off student loans is a good call. Yeah. Well, work it. You're young. You got a strong back. That's
Kyle,
enough.
are you in a Best Buy mobile or a full Best Buy store?
yeah, yep, a Best Buy mobile.
I knew that was your area of expertise, so I
Yep.
was just curious if you migrated to a
Just-
big box.
No, I've just let's see here, the last just over 2 years have been inside the mall stores. So,
Are you on your feet all day?
yeah, it just depends on. I mean, if we're doing an activation, we're sitting down behind the desk and stuff. So, it just depends.
Which takes like 2 hours now.
It can definitely take a while for those cell phones.
Yeah.
It's so complicated, and there's so many new plans and stuff, and the customers have questions. They're like, "How long is this going to take?" And I'm like, "Well, how many questions do you have? You just spent 30 minutes asking me questions, and now you're asking how long is this going to take?" Well, I mean, if you knew which one you wanted 10, 20 minutes ago, we would have been done. So, but
Yeah. Well, you got a lot of customer service stuff. Anything from the phone, real quick? Any like what you're seeing in the phone space right now that you're particularly excited about?
yeah, I mean, the industry is really just shifting away from contracts into the kind of financing your device or making installment payments on your device and stuff. So, pros and cons on both sides for that. So there's kind of the way it's going, but the main thing is it's letting people upgrade faster because people were sick of waiting 2 years to upgrade. So that's kind of the main motivation. But that and I mean, I think probably the first new thing we've seen in a while is I think just yesterday Samsung announced the Galaxy Note Edge, and pretty much the first change in the shape of a phone in years, because now it literally has an extra screen on the edge of the phone itself. So you have your regular screen, and then the edge of the phone is an additional screen to have play and pause buttons and random stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes out. But
And did they just announce that? I heard that, but I have not been following that. That's not in store.
I think it's like October or something.
Okay.
But
coming
But
up.
yeah,
God,
so
I'm already hitting buttons that I'm not supposed to be hitting. What happens when those things are on the edge?
yeah, right. I
Oh
don't
my
know.
God! What do you think? What do you think of that?
I mean,
You sell these things all the time.
yeah. I mean, it hasn't come. I haven't played with it yet, but I mean, it looks like I mean, something. There has to be the next thing, because I mean, for like the last 4 years, we've had a piece of flat glass, and a
Right.
screen, and that's all we've had, And LG tried to make one that was curved, and it was like, well, you just curved it. That's all you did. You didn't really achieve anything. So,
So even though it looks like I'm looking at the picture here, I found
yeah.
Note Edge preview. It looks like curved glass, and then they have little icons under the glass. Are they like soft buttons?
Yeah, it's
Not
it's
like
an
physical buttons.
no, it's an extra 160 pixels of screen.
And
I don't.
just on the right side.
Yep.
So it curves down the right side, and then so you would have, in this case, I'm looking at that too, Nathaniel. It's got icons down there, so it's moving instead of having them along the bottom. It's moving them up along the side.
Yeah.
But it's extra. It's on the side. Why wouldn't you want them on the side?
I don't know. We'll see how it
looks
goes.
interesting, though. It does
Yeah.
kind of look interesting. And Nathaniel, what do you think as you look at it initially?
I'm reluctant.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy looking.
It looks kind of cool, and if I'd be interested in how it works, but I can't see myself using it day to day. But we'll see. Like Kyle said, if we don't innovate and try new things, you never get anywhere. So I'm all in favor of trying new things. I just don't know that I would use it.
Yeah.
Where do you put your case?
Well, I'm sure they'll come up with some kind of special case for it, right? When the Note or when the original Galaxies came out, the S3s, I think, they had that special feature where when you'd close the case, the clock would stay. They had that opening right here, and the clock would. In fact, my phone still does that. I don't have that opening, but behind the scenes, you can kind of see it. See how that.
Yeah.
You can see the clock,
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I should probably just turn that off. But it's interesting. They're trying these new, and that's not earth-shattering or anything like that. But
so is it too hard for me to turn my phone 90 degrees to read the screen? I'm just sneaking a glance under the table. I don't have to flip my phone up to show everyone that I'm looking at it. I'm just looking at the edge of it.
Yeah, it's just kind of an edge. Well, interesting. And Kyle, you haven't seen it in the wild yet, so that's kind of
a ways away for sure.
Yeah.
But
well, interesting. I've kind of found phones kind of gotten boring lately. I mean, it's just if you cover them, you talk about them too much. You're right. It's still a flat piece of glass with a few changes, and it's. We did have. I mentioned when we were on vacation, Sarah sat on her phone or did something, and it drove a rock right through the digitizer. I mean, it crushed the screen and the digitizer. They're gone, and it did some wild things. And so I'm considering buying that. For I think 150, 160 bucks. You can buy them together. And then swap out screen digitizer with the motherboard on the old one, put it in. There's videos I've seen to do that. I think I'm going to give that a try. Have you ever done that, Kyle? And you probably don't. You never mess around with them in the store like that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give it a spin. So it's we'll see how it goes, and I guess I'll be out 150 bucks if I can't make it work.
I was impressed when you mentioned you were going to start doing that. I thought that's a good challenge. It's kind of fun to sit down and say, "Okay, I got all my gear right here. I've got all the parts. I got the instructions. I got the ice cube trays for screws. I'm gonna give it a go." I think that's great.
I watched the video twice and watched him go through. I even took my phone apart at one point. Pull the case off, pull the back off. Use your finger and pop there's a band around this kind of. They call that the case, which is just the band around the phone. You pull that off, and you really get access to everything at that point underneath the hood. And it's funny. It's not too different than the old PC. The way our desktop PCs are today is how you can replace parts. It's gotten to that point inside these phones where the connections are a little bit smaller, and you got to be careful about how you pull those connections off. You might want to use a plastic tool to flip the thing out. But there's just on the Galaxy S4, there's just a connector right here, and you just literally just pop it off. And then I took because we wanted to get some data off her phone. So I took my phone apart, her phone apart. I put my screen on her phone, and then turned it back on, and it allowed us, to get
It's
in
crazy.
there. And yeah, it was, I'm not that. I mean, I'm a tech guy, but I'm not that kind of tech guy. And so they're getting easier I think they're getting easier to work on, and they're modular in here, right? So the parts are very, very modular in the way they're put together. And take the speaker out, and you take the antenna off, and you take the thing that goes whatever they call that, and you pull those pieces, and then the motherboard comes off, and you just take it over to the other one and put it on. There's like 8 screws that holds the whole thing together, and you're in. So I was like, all right, let's try it.
You make it sound so simple.
Well, it wasn't as it was kind of. I'll be honest. I was like, this should be harder for me than it is, and having the right tools, which ironically, one of the right tools is a guitar pick. That's what they show you, and to get this one part off, they're like, okay, take this guitar pick and then put it in there and snap. So, all right, well, let's Nathaniel, let's dig in a little bit on you. I want to talk, and you piqued my interest a little bit because I've been talking about MediaFire for a while.
Yep.
And I don't know if you bid on that because I've been talking about it, or was something you were using before.
Yeah, it's because of you.
I'm sorry.
You do so well for my wallet, thanks.
Well, I
don't
saved
think
you
I'm
some
the only
dollars.
I'm not complaining, but I don't think I'm the only participant in this group, this broad group of enthusiasts that ends up spending a little bit more money through the Amazon affiliate link, and
we appreciate that. It goes back into the
I do. Anyway, so I was looking at cloud storage options like always, and with the new reviews of things coming and the new additional storage and price changing, I wanted to look at it some more. I've always loved Dropbox like everyone because it's always the easiest to use. It's got all the features. It integrates with everything. But I don't want to pay the Dropbox prices, and I don't totally trust it for security either. I tried Spider Oak for a bit, and I think that's a secure one because everything's encrypted first on the client and goes up, but their interface is a bit goofy, and I don't want backup with it because I use different tools. And so I tried MediaFire out per your recommendation a while ago, and it's real easy to use. And I did bite and pay $25 for a year for a terabyte because that's,
oh, it's so cheap.
It's like taking someone out for lunch and then you're done. But one of the things that piqued my interest with it is the auto camera upload. And I know OneDrive does that, and I know Dropbox does that, and I know iCloud does that. Now you have an iPhone, and I use iCloud, but I kept hitting that you're out of limit, you're out of storage on iCloud, pay another $20 for 10 gigs. And I like that because of the convenience of knowing my iPhone's been backed up every night. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to plug it in. It's a nice security, but I hate, like a lot of people lately have been talking about how their iPhones have gotten full. There's just no more space, and you can't add the SD card or micro SD, and it's always full of pictures and stuff. So I thought, well, I don't want to pay an added expense to Apple to back it up. So I tried MediaFire, and it has that auto camera upload. So I thought, well, this will take care of it. I'll turn off camera backup in iCloud. I can still use iCloud for the settings and some of the app stuff that I'd want to be able to restore if I lost it. But I don't need the camera. And I don't have a ton of storage on OneDrive, and I don't really use that as much. So I thought I only want this to be a way to get my photos backed up automatically. I don't have to worry about it until the next time I copy them to my iMac and put them in iPhoto, where I have them stored permanently, sorted, tagged, and then backed up with CrashPlan. So I was really just looking for that. And it's worked pretty well. It does not back up super fast, but I had about 2,000 photos and videos on my iPhone, and it's about 900 done. So then I've been going through trying to delete a whole bunch I don't need, and that's a tedious process.
It really is. Yeah, it's difficult.
And I keep saying, oh, well, I like that photo. I want to keep this one of my kids. Or I saw this one. It was so funny. I didn't want to take it off my phone. It's not that I sit there flipping through photos on my phone. It's just some weird mental connection to having the photo on my phone. But it works fine, and it runs in the background. And you can say, don't run on cellular, which is nice. And now I've got that going. And I was also intrigued when you had them on especially about the, I believe he talked about transcoding video on the fly to watch on a mobile device or desktop automatically. So I was playing with that. I loaded some movies, and they all worked fine and pretty well, except for if they were formats that don't play natively on the iPhone. So for me, I can't play WMV, AVI, things like that. I didn't put an MKV file up there. Don't need that. But all the other stuff worked. MOVs, MP4s, M4Vs. So that's pretty nice to be able to do that. Even took a pretty big 2.5 gig file, a DVD rip, just fine. So I like that feature. It's nice and clean. The web interface is clean. And
it's crisp. It plays the movies crisp. I was surprised at how crisp they were.
Yeah.
I did it on Android, and I was like, wow. This is now. It's not just because of them, but I hadn't done that. I hadn't tried that before, and it was just crystal clear.
Yeah, let me see here. Web video. I'm trying to play a WMV file on this PC. Yeah, there it goes.
Yeah.
No problem.
On a PC, it'll play a ton of different stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, you're right. It's got to be it's got to be on the end it's playing. It's got to work on that side too. But
right. And I ran into that when I was using that Seagate Flex, GoFlex. As long as the file format was supported on the device natively, it would play. And if it didn't, you could use a workaround like VLC Player, something like that. So I like the interface. The other thing I discovered, not on purpose by accident, but when you install MediaFire, they want you to install their app on your desktop or the mobile device that will do a sync. And you put all your stuff in there and it syncs like Dropbox, which has utility, but I said no, I don't want to install the desktop, I want to just upload to it. And what I discovered is you can do both. So I can have a folder that syncs to my desktop. So I put it on the right folder in the desktop and it copies up to Media Drive. But I also can take files and put them up into Media Drive without having to store them locally anymore.
Right.
And I've been looking for that for a long time. So, and I used to use Jungle Disk, but the transactional costs and things, it just didn't seem worth it. So having a sort of a drive in the sky that does not have to be a sync that I have here, and maybe I have the file backed up somewhere else, is really potentially useful as you move towards mobile devices that don't have tons of storage. So a laptop that's only 128 gigs, if you had a network connected drive essentially in MediaFire, you can store a lot of stuff that you don't need very often, but it's nice to get to. That seems like a really nice feature.
No, it is great, and that's actually the way I use it too. I haven't installed their software. We use it for the video large and video small for this podcast. So
yeah,
if you're subscribed to those, that RSS feed points to MediaFire, and I actually get some download stats, which is kind of cool. That I can see how many times that file's been downloaded. Kind of, I want to say kind of natively, like there's not a report, but in MediaFire, here I'll show you the.
You have the
web
business,
interface.
The business version that has advanced statistics. Yeah,
I do. Well, not advanced statistics. No,
oh.
I just have the paid version that Well, I'll show you the stats here in just a second.
Cool.
Let me bring these.
They definitely promote sharing. I mean, every file and folder has a little link on it saying, "Hey, do you want to share this? You want to share this?" And
yeah. Well, that's an old. That comes out of an old. That was their original roots, was in media and media sharing and music. I mean, they, in the interview, they've been around a while, and that kind of was the original roots, and now they're changing a little bit. And he said in that interview, that they're really working on. Imagine if you don't even have to think about the file from the. They want to get you away from playing files, and they want to get you into playing media, and so that all that stuff is transparent. So you're just your music. It's your music. It's not. Your MP3, so to speak, the file structure. And so I don't exactly know what that all means, but they're really working hard at getting that streaming experience down for you. So put your stuff up there, let us take care of the streaming is kind of what they're saying. So if you look, it'll be hard to see here you'll have to in the screen, but and I'll go to Home Gadget Geeks Video Large. If you look at the files here, and you come over here, it says downloads. So 41, gives me the file size if you can see that.
Yep.
So good enough for me, like from a podcasting standpoint. It's like, oh, cool. I know how many times that file's been downloaded, and The other thing I liked about it, and of course, I'm like you. I didn't even install the app, and I just go to the home server, and when I want to upload something, I save it on the home server so it gets backed up to CrashPlan, and then I drag it off the home server straight onto onto the web page, and then it just uploads it. And that's not new technology, but it works really well for them.
Now, do you ever hit any file size limits where you have video files too big to upload via web?
I have not loaded. Their 10 gig is their limit at this point. And,
over the web? Web upload?
Web upload up to 10 gig. No.
Oh.
Yeah, 10 gig. That's what he told me. That's what they told me in the interview when we had them on the interview. And because I asked the question, I'm like, so why 10 gig? And he's like, well, Jim, we got to have some kind of limit.
Yeah, right.
You know, he's like, you can't just be unlimited. You got to have somebody will try it and break it, you know, type deal. And so the other thing that like some other services, I have a public folder, and a buddy of mine I created for a buddy of mine and set him the private link to it. He has wedding photos and videos from my son's wedding that I want him to upload to that drive. So I just gave him that link and said, here, upload them here. Then we don't have to monkey around with you giving me a hard drive, because there's almost 200 gig worth of stuff that he created, the wedding photographer created for the wedding, and so he's going to move it right up in there for me.
Hey Jim, how do you get your MP4 videos? Do you just strip them out of YouTube?
Yeah, so I download them natively out of YouTube. They're MP4 when you download them out of there, and then edit them. I edit them in Windows Movie Maker, and it actually bloats them. It doesn't make them smaller; it makes them bigger when I create them, because it adds music to it and some other things. And then save those as a MP4, and then I run for the video large. I run Handbrake for both of them. So I drop them into Handbrake and do I think one's a 9. Hold on, let me open up Handbrake real quick here. So I run one 960, so 960 by 540, that's video large, and then I run 320 by 180 for the video small.
Yeah, the elementary schools I'm working at do well. I'm not sure about the other one school, but one of the schools does. They have the kids like do morning announcements, and they call it a podcast, and we publish the video every.
That's awesome though.
Every morning. So I mean, they have a sound recorder, and they have kids doing all the jobs and press and play and press and start, and it gets pushed out over video to all the classrooms and stuff. And my job's to just go in and upload what do they record in? I think is it MP4? I don't even know what file we upload
probably
in.
is. MP4 is pretty standard.
But yeah, I export I export it out of Movie Maker on an.
Yep.
Or no, actually not movie. iMovie on a Mac is what it comes into. So whatever file they do, I don't know. But
generally, they'll export as MOV.
Yeah, I don't know. But so I was just wondering, like where you were getting those videos, or if you're just basically just taking it out of YouTube. I don't. Yep. Kind of thought about like asking them, hey, do you just want to make this a hangout and then it's done and we don't have to think about it anymore, and we have the video and it's saved and it's already on YouTube and the whole. So I don't know, just kind of researching ideas.
It's incredibly convenient to do it that way. I mean, I can't think of an easier way to get it done. I did these 9 podcasts today, out at 9 interviews, and they're 20 minutes each. Sat down, talked tech, and it was one right after the other. Bing, bang, boom. Get in, talk, shake their hand, and by the time they're leaving, the next person's coming. And we just did one after the other. It was incredibly convenient to go into Google Hangouts last night and set up all those Hangouts in advance and have them all set with their name and who they were and what time they were starting at. It created events for me. And then I just went into the events page, and you could set up those weekly ones a week in advance. You could have them all set up and ready for them. And then they just go in, click on them, and click start, and boom, they're in. And then when they're done, transcodes it, moves it to YouTube. It's available in 15 or 20 minutes. Download it if you need to, or leave it on YouTube. Make some minor edits to it if you need to. So
you're having YouTube do all the heavy work for you.
Yeah. No, right on.
It's like remote app. like we were talking earlier.
It's
Yeah.
exactly like that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I interviewed a guy from Adobe today, and as part of this process, he's a tech evangelist for Adobe, and I said, why are you guys not in this space? Why are you not? You have all the editing software. Imagine the power of creating a podcast like this on an Adobe platform, and then being able to run that through all the whatever, right, whatever products I need to clean up my audio or clean up my video. Or I mean, that's what Google is missing with Hangouts, is their editing tools blow, and there's no great, sure, you can create these, but man, try and fix them on YouTube after you're done. It's horrible, right? It's a terrible experience. Imagine having all the access to the Adobe tools online to be able to get that done. That would be cool.
You would just rather have Adobe do the processing on their servers, and you just click through the web interface, and they do all the heavy lifting.
Right on. Because 90% of the time for podcasters, how much do I really need to change? Not that much, but it would be great to run a leveler and run a normalization tool and maybe take out some background noise and then run it, and let it do its thing. I mean, they could own that space. Adobe could, but they're like, well, no, not today. All right, sounds good. So we digressed a little bit, Nathaniel. So any other thoughts there on MediaFire from your side?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. It doesn't look complicated or fancy. The account stuff is easy to read. I'm using 5 gigs out of a terabyte so far, so it's kind of nice just having that. The other thing I tried was Jolicloud, or Jolicloud.
Yeah,
which is another aggregator tool that you'd talked about, and it works pretty easy. I've just got the free account, so I tied it to Box and Dropbox and Google Drive and MediaFire and OneDrive, and they kind of advertise like you can get all this free space by aggregating the different free services, and I understand why they say that, but that's not how I work. I have folders, and I put things in folders for reasons. I don't just throw it wherever. But and you use tools differently, so I do different things in Google Drive than I do in Dropbox or in OneDrive. So it's a nice interface. The reason I wanted to try it out is it's all web driven, so it signs into those accounts. I don't have to have an app installed. I don't have to have a sync connector, and I can see the different files. And so far, the little bit I've been testing with Google Drive, it's pretty good, even though it's outside Google Drive. So I've been editing the show notes, which is a Google Doc, inside Jolicloud. So it works very similar to being in Google Drive natively. So that's kind of a nice thing. I've been using a Chromebook this week as my travel computer, and it's been pretty good. I'm trying to really force myself to use it more. My hang-up right now is I do a lot of RDP, so there's an app, Chrome RDP, that works pretty well, but we don't have a Chrome OS ready VPN yet, so that's been a drawback for me. But I talked to our network guy today, and he's like, yeah, I can probably do that, and just give me some time. And he said, how urgent is it? And I'm like, well, it's just me, so it's not urgent, but it'd be nice because I'm trying to do this, and
yeah.
It's that kind of learning that benefits us all in the long run.
Let's go back to Jolicloud for a sec.
Yeah.
I threw that up on a screen share, and I've been working on these. I updated the cloud storage guide, so if you haven't been out there in a while, I did some updates to that. But I've been looking at these 3, Otixo and Jolicloud. We've been talking about this on the home server show.
Yeah.
And the third one, it'll come to me here in just a second. One of the things that I have I'm on the dashboard, and you're right. I mean, look at how similar MediaFire is. There's MediaFire, there's Jolicloud, right? MediaFire, Jolicloud. It's like the same guy designed the interface. They are super, super close when it comes to what they look like. Here's what I like. All the way over to the right is this little pie chart, and it tells you how much storage you have left on that device. And it's this real visual, like, so like, oh crap, my Google Drive's half full already. And you said, I had no idea I could access the, you said you did the show notes from within it, right?
Yeah, so it opens up in a preview, and then you can click. Well, I don't know why you've got that white bar up there.
Oh wait, hold on, I just went to the. There we go. We're back.
See, I had a thing that would say.
Oh, I need to
warning
relink.
you about Box. But
Yeah.
up at the top, I have a button that says Edit on the left.
Yeah,
not
right here.
view in Google Drive, but just Edit. And then it looks, not as all the features, but pretty native to Google Drive.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. One of the things I haven't liked about this, and we'll go back to that, is that it only allows one account per on Jolicloud. On the free version, it only allows one account per drive. So like I have 2 OneDrives because I have one for one account, one for another. I would want to bring in here. I would want to bring them both in. In this one, it limits you to 1 per when you go to add. This has it has a pretty limited. Jolicloud has a pretty limited data set that you can draw from, where Otixo, and I'll just bring that up right. That right? Otixo, did I get that right? Yeah, that's.
Your link on the cloud storage guide didn't work for me for some reason.
Which one? For
the Otixo.
Oh, I'll have to fix it.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
But do they have a lot more options?
Yeah, here's all the options that they have available there. If you can, are you guys seeing my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, yeah, they've got a lot more options available to draw from, and they also only offer 1 per. Let me go out to. For some reason, the name of that third service is escaping me. Are you out at my
Multcloud?
Multcloud or Multcloud, I think is what. And this was one actually Rennie had suggested that we take a peek at. And so we've been kind of looking at them, and I've been looking at them off and on here, just trying to get a kind of a grasp on, because now we're to the point where cloud service is kind of, and it's like, now how do we take all this data and do something with it? Here for Multcloud, here is the dashboard, and you can see like I've attached 3 of my Google accounts to it and 2 of my OneDrive accounts to it, Dropbox, Cubby, Box. And if I wanted to add, they also, not as many as Otixo, but still a certain amount. So this is the Wild West, guys. This concept is now the Wild West. I mean, because look at all the stuff that's out there.
Well, it looks like Multcloud, from what you're showing, can connect to Amazon S3. So if you pay for that storage, you get that, and WebDAV. So I'm guessing that means if you run your own WebDAV or server with that enabled, you can tie it in.
I would agree. They have FTP as well here.
Yeah, because we all run FTP servers.
Well, we do. Podcasters do. You know.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Another one that these cloud aggregators, I don't think we've mentioned before, and it was the first one that I had heard of, and I haven't really messed with hardly any of them, but StorageMadeEasy.com, and they support over 40 different clouds, and I think they're based on Amazon S3, and you get 5 gigabytes free from them for doing that. If you click on, I think, personal, and then no, that's for signing up. The personal to the left.
Let's see here. Let me get out of this.
That'd be right on my screen.
To the personal.
Wow, they want you to sign up before you can even look at it. There you go.
Well, there's a link to get to see the cloud list is what I was going for.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let's see if I can.
At the top, right where it says features and then personal.
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that.
And then you should be able to click on, see where supports 40 plus clouds, kind of near the top right.
Yep, right here.
Yep. So that's all. I mean, that's a lot of options there. I think they do the FTP and WebDAV and all kinds of stuff there. So.
Yeah, OpenStack. I didn't know HP was a service provider, But
they got some that are discontinued. They got Ubuntu and Live Mesh, and those don't exist anymore.
Right.
What's that dump truck?
Yeah, there's one called Dump Truck.
Right there. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, that's a 4th one. Kyle, I'll have to add that to my list of ones to look at. We're trying to keep track of all the cloud storage single offerings, and then now, and Nathaniel, you mentioned one thing they've all said, and I think this is really deceptive. They're like, put all your cloud storage together. And when they say that, what that makes me think is, oh, I've got 100 gig a box and I've got 100 gig a copy. I'm going to put the 2 together and get 200 gig. And you're muted, Kyle, but that's they don't mean that.
Well, yeah. So even though I signed up with them, I got an email saying, "Hey, connect with drive.jolicloud and you'll get 152 free gigs by connecting every one of our services and the amount that they offer for free." Like I had never used Dropbox in my life before or something. And so they got to have some sort of bait, but and it does tell you on their dashboard how much you've aggregated between the services. So I have 1,107 gigabytes connected between Dropbox, Google Drive, Box, MediaFire, OneDrive, and I didn't even attach SugarSync. But so it's kind of nice to know I have that much out there, but until you pay for it, you really can't take advantage of aggregating it. It's just I kind of liken it to a single sign-on portal to my different drives.
Yeah. But even that can be handy.
Oh, yeah, there's
What I
value in
found is
that,
like,
especially web-based, one login, there they all are.
Right.
Now, if you pay for it, you can move files between services. So I could take an MP4 out of Box and move it to Dropbox, or you can move things around and do the multiple accounts. But I don't remember what their upgrade cost was.
Jolicloud?
Yeah, it's €5 a month.
Yeah, something like that.
So I don't know if that's how we pay euros.
Let's say it's $10 probably. It's not 2 for 1 for sure, but $7.50 something in there for us Americans.
Yeah, I don't need that
on the dollar. Well, and for some that it's where it's incredibly convenient to move. I tried moving them around on all 3 services, and all 3 of them require you to pay. So if you think you're going to move them around, no, that's not going to happen. One of them I tried moving around, and it actually used my internet. It wasn't it automated the process of me downloading it and then uploading it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's not the point of it, guys. That's
right.
Not
yeah, well, we looked at Mover, right? Mover.io
right.
a while back, and that's they're really trying to be in that space to do that. I'm not sure these guys are thinking that all the way through.
Well, I could think they'll get there. I mean, that is definitely a potential, and why not take advantage of the networks they're connected to and going straight across the backbone instead of down to the ISP and back up?
Yeah, but they got to pay the bandwidth. I mean, that's why they make you pay, right? They got to pay to have that moved.
Well, but then I'm wondering if they're already paying for that bandwidth on their backbone and it's among service providers, does that somehow hit peering agreements and in and out synchronous, not synchronous data? I don't know.
Yeah.
I like the interface. I like that it's clean. I like that I can sign into 4 or 5 accounts. They'll probably add more. MediaFire looks good to me. I may start moving more things to it, especially because with MediaFire, like you said, you can share a link to someone to a folder or a document and not have to have them have Dropbox. And you can do that with Dropbox too, but they don't have. Yeah, that's what I meant. They don't have to have MediaFire account. So. And I know all the other services can do that. It just seems easier to me.
It was very easy. I'm impressed, and they're trying to do some new things. And so they alluded, when I had Derek on, they alluded to some new things coming up this fall. So I think they're worth looking at right now. Even if you don't go with the free, you get 10 gig for free. If you don't go with the terabyte, I think it's worth keeping an eye on. It's one of the things. And by the way, sitting behind me, if you see these boxes down in the corner, there's actually some MediaFire swag that's going to be given away at the meetup. So they were nice enough. I said, hey guys, you don't have to do anything, but if you want to send me some shirts or buttons or stickers or magnets or whatever you got, I'm going to be with a bunch of tech guys. So send what you want. So LastPass just sent me a box. That's the one that's open, and then I just got the one from MediaFire today. So if you're going to be at the meetup, sorry Nathaniel, I know you can't make it. It'd be great to have you there.
Disappointed.
Kyle, you have no excuse.
I'm going to be there.
All right, sounds good. Kyle, you were muted a second ago, and we missed what you said.
I don't
Remember? Okay. Good enough.
One thing I'll say about the Drive or MediaFire still, we'll close it out.
Yeah.
Their picture preview on the web is great. You can do small, medium, or large for your JPEGs. You see that right away. The videos don't generally show a preview. It's just that standard icon. Music is just a standard icon. You don't get cover art on the web. And when you play it, it's just like a straight MP3 with no preview or interesting. But on the mobile app, at least on iOS, you do get cover art and previews of video stuff. So I don't know why the web doesn't show it on video and audio, but the mobile app does. So that's a nice feature.
Some native functionality, right, on the mobile app that they haven't programmed into their web app yet, maybe.
Yeah, which is fine. I don't really care that much, but it's just I notice it's like, how come I don't see cover art? I'm so used to the metadata around files, video and audio.
Yeah. Tony Rayner says €5, $6.46 to get the exact answer.
Yeah, that's not so bad.
$6. So some interesting things, guys. I guess the point is in this, some interesting things to look at. We're now seeing cloud aggregation be the big deal, where we haven't really. I mean, a year ago, there was nothing. I mean, there was a few, but not like we're seeing these mainstream offerings today of cloud aggregation and cloud management. And I like the way you phrased it, Nathaniel, single sign-on. It's kind of a single sign-on portable. If you only use it for that, it's a great way to go. Kyle, what's kind of your mainstay for cloud at this point? What's your go-to?
OneDrive. Pretty good deal getting a free terabyte because I already had Office 365. And CrashPlan for backing up OneDrive, and
well, that's an industry standard. If you're not using CrashPlan,
you got to throw in LastPass now. Yeah. Meet the requirements.
No, I'm still down to my old remember it and keep some notes, and I keep some notes in OneNote. So
yeah, good.
I keep hints in OneNote. I'm using. I think the last home server show had some storage spaces discussion, and it's working for me. So I mean, I'm not hitting it hard, but this is great. I have I only have one box that I can use for computers at my house. So my computer dual boots Windows 8 and Windows Server 2012 R2. So and this is still running on a Pentium processor. It's a Sandy Bridge, but it's still a Pentium. I mean, but it still runs Server 2012 R2. But anyways, that storage space is viewable by both operating systems. So when I'm flipping back and forth, it reads the storage space built right into Windows, both versions. And if I took those 4 drives out and plugged them into any other Windows 8 or Windows Server 2012, they would just pop right back up like nothing happened. So it's working for me.
Wow. So the storage space takes the drives, aggregates them?
Yep.
But it leaves it in native file format, so you can take them out and move them.
I don't think it's... Well, you can format them in NTFS or in Res or whatever the new one is, which I think I have mine in Res. But it's not gonna I don't think it's gonna read if you plug them into even Windows 7 or a Linux or something like that. It's not gonna read them as NTFS until you get them. It has to be Windows 8 or Server 2012 or newer. But it will read after you get to that point, it will do whatever it does in the background and make them exposed in NTFS or Res or whatever you want to see them in. But yeah, it's the same storage space that flips back and forth between a dual boot and reads it just fine on both of them. So
cool.
I'm still twitching a little bit from that discussion on storage spaces that we had on Home Server Show. So thanks for bringing up old wounds. No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm still running. What I need to do, is I need to just fail the server I've got, just rip one of the drives out, and then see because it's basically become a CrashPlan server. So I've got a whole bunch of CrashPlan. I'm backing up my server to it via CrashPlan and the sharing, the French sharing option. And I should just rip one of those drives out and format it and then see what happens. Yeah. And the guys are right. I haven't actually done that test yet with storage spaces, whether it's on Windows 8 or on Windows Server. So it runs fine, and I think it was one of the guys, and I think it's Trash News out there now. It's like, well, of course it runs great. It's when you have to recover it that the problem starts. And I'm like, okay, he's right. He's right. So
yeah, he's pointing out, Kyle, it's REFS, Resilient File System.
Yep, that's what it is.
And his comment was, it's software RAID. It's similar to DrivePool, and the guys have been talking about DrivePool, and I've been using that in my Windows Home Server 2011, and I really like DrivePool because you just say, it's so simple for me to understand and do. Take this drive, add it to the pool, I want this folder to be duplicated or single, and the one thing that really made me confident about using it is it says you can just take this drive out, plug it somewhere else, and it'll be native file system. You can still get your files. You don't have to rebuild a RAID. It's just sort of a logical way to store files, and I like that architecture, that design. And it's been solid for me and other people in the chat rooms that they've had good luck with it.
Yeah,
so.
I think it's the community favorite. Right, that's by far and we've got an insider there too, which kind of helps to have Drashna kind of on the inside, what's going on. So, yeah. So,
Price
all
was
right,
right
well, not to rehash the home server show. I could start crying if we. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so we wrapped up MediaFire. Any other? Let me look here real quick. Any other thoughts, Nathaniel, on what you had written there?
Yeah, well, on the cloud thing, I was just going to add a Dropbox. I was looking at some of my account settings on the web, and apparently I had connected 37 devices to my Dropbox account over the years, and some of them it said, 3 years ago, you had this computer connected to Dropbox, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's 3 years ago. It's long gone or been reimaged. And so I just want to let people know they can go into their Dropbox account online and go into account/security, and it'll show every device and app that you've allowed or authorized to connect to your Dropbox account. So I took that opportunity to go remove, and get down to just the ones I knew I had. And although I don't know that there's any security risk in having a gone non-sync device there, but at least the apps. So I just wanted to alert people to that. I didn't know that that was even there, but it makes sense. Here's historically the devices that you've authorized to Dropbox. Do you still want them? So if I had a laptop stolen, I might want to go in and check that and take that laptop off of the Dropbox authorization. Maybe I'm just being paranoid, but I thought that was an interesting.
Yeah, no, I think it's good practice. I mean, I think it's just again, if that was your PC, you reimage it. I'm sure there's some kind of a unique identifier that it puts in the software that it just so it knows, right? And so the chances of someone putting all those things back together again and knowing your password, your username and password, and gaining access so it doesn't tell you that it has done that are pretty slim.
Yeah, I can't think of a scenario that would be a risk, but someone probably could, and I just liked cleaning it up. I thought it was interesting they had that, and that's a good, kudos to them for keeping us aware of what we've done and connected to it.
Probably the bigger thing is the apps that you've connected to, because if you've authorized, not MediaFire, but Mover.io and Storage Made Easy and 16 other storage aggregators, and you forget about one of them and they go bankrupt and somebody walks through their data center and starts poking around or something weird like that. There are more accesses through somebody hacking through a third party and coming in through an app that you've still authorized and forgotten about.
Yeah, right. So right now the apps that I have linked to Dropbox are Jolicloud and Notability. So those are ones I recognize, and now I have 5 computers connected instead of 37.
I wonder how many I have. Let's take a peek here.
I put the link in chat for you.
Yeah, no, I just clicked on it, and now I'm going to let LastPass sign me in.
We got to figure out how to get some swag without going to the meetup.
Well, just ask me nicely.
I wish I could go.
I don't even know what's there. I'll have to take a peek, and yeah, it's too bad you couldn't come. It's how far is it for you? It's a ways.
Yeah, we flew last time.
Yeah,
it's a great flight, very enjoyable and easy and straight, and I think it's probably 12 hours. I don't know.
Yeah. No, don't. Yeah.
Next time, maybe every other year.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 devices attached to it, and then to Kyle's point. But some of them, my 2011 box, which is active, and then a laptop that I've reimaged twice and now is actually in somebody else's hands. That's still there, so I should probably remove that one and unlink it. Although it doesn't matter again. Although my 2011 box is here twice, so it's seeing it you know, I redid it at one point in time, but named it the same thing, so I can do the one. I can get rid of the one that is a year or more since I did that. A couple of Android phones are on there. You know, the wife's. Oh, there was a problem. No.
I found a BlackBerry on mine.
Nice. Anybody
Nice.
can do it. Dropbox can.
I have an unknown Windows device. A couple Android, but the linked ones, Updraft, which I use for to back up my WordPress instances, that connects with it. Jolicloud, Dropbox for Windows Store. Not sure why that. Quick Office, a Samsung device, Box Files for Dropbox, WordPress backup for Dropbox, and Multcloud. So, Kyle, that's a great catch on that one too, to make sure you check those linked apps.
Yeah, because a lot of the Android ones, you'll sign in with the Android app, and then you'll also sign in with the connector that's provided by HTC or Samsung. So that's why you get two, and you're authorizing Samsung or HTC to access your Dropbox as well in the background, in addition to the Android phone itself. So.
Now I'm looking in OneDrive because it was pointed out that OneDrive has this feature. And I'm looking at device backups in my OneDrive account on the web, and it says backed up device settings, and it lists this desktop that I'm on, but it lists it by the motherboard manufacturer name.
Interesting.
Gigabyte Technology. I thought that was interesting. I'm looking to see where show me the devices I've connected to OneDrive. Maybe that's it. Maybe I only have one. No, because I have my...
Can't be. You probably got a few more.
Yeah.
Where do you go to get that in OneDrive?
Well, that's what I'm trying to find. Come on, chat room.
I did settings, and I see device backups, so I have 3
And is
devices.
yours listed by motherboard model?
Yes, I've got a couple.
I have.
An Asus
I have.
Tech Computer Inc.
Yeah, mine says Dell Inc. and then parentheses the name of the computer.
I got a Gigabyte Technology. That's this one. The Studio PC here. That's Gigabyte. And I've got a couple Asus listed because those were the laptops.
Yeah.
And one says Lenovo.
Wow. Well, good to know. It's a new perspective to keep track of.
Yeah. Lopta says it's probably they're getting that from the MAC address.
Yeah.
What about this idea with Otixo and Jolicloud and such? It is a kind of a security. If they get through that, they've got. I'm not so worried about them. I'm worried about maybe compromising that account gets compromised, and then they have access to all your cloud storage.
Yep. That's been kind of like, because I had heard about that storage made easy a long time ago, and that's kind of why I never really did a lot with it, because I was like, I'm already, by having my stuff on the cloud, I'm already trusting Google or Microsoft or whoever, but now I'm giving another third party, and it's just another layer of insecurity. So I didn't really mess around with that kind of cloud-to-cloud stuff a lot, because I was just kind of questioning if that's what I needed, and I didn't have a use for it anyway, so...
Well, it is. I think I give CrashPlan has all my data, right? They got everything. That's I back everything. I do it local, and to the cloud, and to CrashPlan, and so that's really if somebody they really wanted to hack my data, they would just hack my CrashPlan account, and they'd have everything.
Yeah. It's just gonna kind of be deciding on how many do you trust.
But Jim, with the CrashPlan, I have to throw in my 2 cents.
Yeah.
If you're just using
I was trying to bait you.
Yeah. Well, I'm reading over here, and then I hear this ding ding in my head. If you use your username and password like most of us, then they hold the keys to it. But you can use the self-assigned key, and so unless someone were to get your personal encryption key, which is going to be difficult, the data they have is encrypted by you, like LastPass.
Yes.
So they'd have to get your key if you did that. But then you lose some features when you encrypt. It's encrypted anyway, but you know what I'm saying. We encrypted your key instead of their key.
I did that with my first account, and then I couldn't, and then I lost the password.
And you couldn't encrypt it, yeah.
And I was screwed. And literally, I could not get it back.
Yep.
It was like, nope. And I was like, come on, certainly there is. Nope. Yeah, it's done. And I tried all the passwords I knew, and I'm like, all right, time to start over. So I had to completely abandon that account.
Yeah.
And start a brand new one.
I don't do that myself, so as much as I think it's a great idea, I value the ability to get it back if I screw up over that security, and it's going to be me.
For sure. Well, guys, we're at the hour 20. It goes so fast. Kyle, anything else you want to throw in before we go? We cover everything. Looks like we got to most everything on your list here.
Yeah, I think.
Keep us posted on your home automation stuff. Home automation's expensive, so you probably won't be running out and throwing a Nest on the thermostat.
Yeah, that's like I think a thermostat is on the list because the one I have, like, you change it and it's like, okay, like 20 minutes ago I told you I turned the temperature up and the air conditioning is still blasting. So, but I would kind of like to get somewhat of a smart one. But what's the Nest is $200 or something like that, I think.
Well, the first gen, I think second gen are like $279.
Oh wow, yeah. So that's probably out of the price range. But I'm thinking about maybe getting at least a little bit of a smart one on that stuff. So we'll see how it goes.
Keep your eyes open. You might find something on a deal or a loot deal or they got big pockets now that they're owned by Google. So maybe something will go on sale.
Yeah. And I think I'd like to get smoke. I think I was just thinking about smoke detectors. I was like, in an apartment, if something happens, somebody else is going to know and call, and they're going to get the fire department. But if there's a fire starts in one end of my house, and we're not home, it's going to burn through the whole house before we find out. If I got a text when one end went off, and I could call the fire department, that could save half the house. So. That's something I started. I was just like, I didn't think about that before. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, you got some stuff to think about as you retrofit the new smart home. And I haven't done a lot of those. I want to put a Nest in. I think Sarah would kill me if a Nest showed up.
$200.
What are you? She's like, look at that. It says 74. Guess what? It stays at 74. And she's around a lot, so it's not like we're the typical house where she's gone and nobody's in the house all day and you can monkey with the temperatures. So I don't know. I've talked about it, and every time I do that I get the stink eye, like, don't screw with my thermostat. Okay, I'm just gonna leave that alone. So. And Ken's putting a good word in for you for the tech fund, Kyle. So maybe the Average Guy Tech Fund will have to support some home automation endeavors for you as we go forward. So we'll see how that goes. Nathaniel.
Yeah, I'm just laughing. Mike said, "How big is your house, Kyle? It's gonna burn from one end to the other, and you for a text."
Well,
it's not that big.
At least if the fire department could get there to save my dog,
I understand what you're saying.
Yep.
Yeah. Good stuff. It's never too early. Well, as we wrap things up here, we'll do a reminder that, and you guys hang around for a little bit of post show, that the AverageGuy.TV's Tech Scholarship Fund is now in Canada. We talked about that at the beginning of the show, so use the AverageGuy.TV/AmazonCA, all one word, and that those benefits will go to John Zadler. So if you want to help fund the John Zadler Tech Scholarship Fund, have him test some stuff, and that guy could tear some stuff up. So use that one. Both of those links will be out in the show notes as well. If you're here in the U.S., continue to use ours, the regular one. Though the Canada one won't even work for you, so just continue to use that one. We got a newsletter out. Faithfully, I used MailChimp to get the news. If you're signed up for the newsletter, it should have come to you on the 1st. It wasn't formatted very well, but it did come to you. And so you got some information updated, and I am faithfully going to work on those the first week of every month or so, everything that's going on here at the AverageGuy.tv, any new stuff, new links, stuff you need to know about. If you're not on social media or you just don't have time for that, and that's okay, sign up for that. Head out to the AverageGuy.tv and get on the newsletter list, and you'll get an email from me once a month, I think is what I'll do from here going out. We talked about it a couple times. Home Server Show Meetup is coming up in Indianapolis on the 20th. There's still time to get in, and there's still a few spots left. So it'll cost you a whole $20, cheaper than a year at MediaFire. and that'll get you lunch and access to the not much cheaper, to be honest with you, but that'll get you a nice lunch and access to the day. And a bunch of the guys that were there last year are coming back. I get to see everybody who's registered, and so it'll be fun to see some friendly faces again with some of the folks that are out there. And so join us. The link for that will be in the show notes as well, and you can go still get registered for that. That's coming up fast, and I'm really looking forward to kind of getting out of Omaha for the weekend and spending some time with you guys in Indianapolis. One last reminder, Ask the Podcast Coach on Saturday mornings. I love this show, but I'm really liking doing this Saturday morning podcast with Dave Jackson, and it's just different. I get to talk about podcasting all the time, and because not every day I podcast every day, or all day like I did today, coming to the end of that. But askthepodcastcoach.com/live, Saturday mornings, 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. Mike Howard's out there all the time. Again, he's a podcaster. Not all of you, actually many of you probably aren't. But if you want to come out and join in, we have a call-in, which is kind of cool. It's kind of an 80s retro feel, like it's a radio show from the 80s. You can call in and ask your questions. Crank us if you want to. Give us a crank call there. That's fine with me. And we'd love to hear from you on Saturday mornings. We're out every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern. We've got a couple things coming up next week. This one will be fun. John Nye is back. Keith Lunsford's coming out. We're not talking about cybersecurity. We're talking about copters. So quadcopters, hexacopters, both those guys have owned them and crashed them. And so we're going to talk about those copters and what they've done. And that's kind of a fun thing. You know, you're in three to five bills to get into a copter right now if you're going to do that. And but it's kind of cool. A lot of folks are doing that now, and so both those guys are coming in to talk about that. No show on the 18th. We're taking that. I'll be out of town, and then we'll actually have got some interesting ones coming up. So we've got the guys from ADSY, ADSY.me, I think is what that is, and they build these little mobile apps, which are pretty intriguing. And so it's, you know, if you want I could build a mobile app and it's a web link, and I don't have to submit it to the Apple Store or Google Play, and it works great on the phone. And they're in the early stages of this, but this is really cool. They got some really cool ideas, not being held hostage by these stores, so to speak. And so Frederick from that is going to come on here on the 25th, and he's actually in Europe, so he's going to stay up early, late, whatever, and come in local time. And then for those of you who've hung around for a while, you know, we've talked about Uptime Robot, and so that's one of those services that helps monitor your websites and how often they're up and that stuff. So I contacted them via Twitter. I'm like, hey, will you come on? They said absolutely. So we started talking about that. So Umut from Istanbul, that's where it's developed, in Istanbul. I had no idea. This is what's great about the global economy. And so Umut's going to come in. He too is going to come in at like 3 in the morning, his time, 8 o'clock, and join us live. So that's coming up on 16th. So we've got some good, interesting. I hope you're finding this interesting, as well as some of our community podcasting stuff coming up here in the coming months as well. John Greenaway is coming back. We'll have Ryan Parker. Ryan Parker's the food craftsman. We're going to have him back the week before Thanksgiving. Couldn't think of a better time to have a food guy on the podcast talking about cooking tech. So he's going to come on, share gadgets, some things you want to think about over the Thanksgiving holidays, how to cook the turkey, or whatever your tradition is. And so it'll be a busy, we have a really busy fall coming up, and I'm excited to do it with you guys. Thanks for coming out tonight. We'll do it all again next Thursday. Good night, everybody.